Let's take a look at the Missouri Tigers defensive tackle room. Over here at Missouri Tigers on SI, we're taking a deep dive at each position for Mizzou's roster ahead of the 2025 season. And today we're looking at one of the most interesting groups here entering fall camp. Now, I wanted to take a look first back at what they had in 2024 and what they used in the rotation then because, again, it was a pretty interesting group with what they had. And really, they're only losing Christian Williams out of that room, and they're having guys develop, and it will finally be their opportunity after having to wait in the wings for quite a bit here. So, looking at it, obviously, Christian Williams was the top snap getter, and right behind him was Chris McClellan. And then after that, it gets a little more interesting and varied. You have Sterling Webb, who is by far the number third top snap getter. And then after that, a whole host of guys, young guys, that had some opportunities. They went six deep at this position at times last year. And Marquise Graciel and Jalen Marshall clearly got a good amount of playing time. So I think that's an interesting way to start this conversation. And then question, okay, are they going to rotate as deep, and where are those opportunities going to be divided up, especially now with Christian Williams gone? So obviously Chris McClellan is the leader in this group. I expect him to be one of the best players on this defense on an already pretty great unit. Chris McClellan has some great size, so obviously a good run stuffer, but then also has some surprising agility as well. Behind him, though, is where there's some more questions. I would say at that number two spot, who's also a starter, Sterling Webb or Marquise Graciel is the guy to watch for there. I would say Sterling Webb has it pretty much settled, but I wouldn't be surprised if Marquise Graciel makes a good run for that role as well, especially if he takes the leap that the Missouri coaching staff is hoping he will. Back in the spring, when we had the chance to talk to Al Davis, who is now resigned, but was formerly the defensive line coach for Missouri all throughout the spring, talked about Marquise and specifically said that they wanted him to develop his pass rushing skills, get his weight to where they wanted it to be, so he could be not only a good run stuffer, but also a good pass rusher and be able to play on all three downs. And when you look at, again, the distribution for his snaps last year, only 49 of his snaps came on passing downs compared to 70 on run plays. So definitely specializing there. But if he can become an every down player, definitely a chance he overtakes Sterling Webb there. But Sterling Webb, former New Mexico State transfer, thought he did some good things last year. Again, has some good agility. A little bit slimmer than McClellan and Graciel, so a little bit of different skill set in that room. And then behind him, really anyone's take, anyone's opportunity to get these snaps here. I think Jalen Marshall is a guy the Missouri coaching staff really likes. In the spring, Eli Drinkwood said that he has all the potential in the world. They just really need him to focus on nailing that down and making the most of it. So Sam Williams, another guy that could be in that rotation. And then finally, Elias Williams. He was a guy that came into Missouri last year as a freshman at edge, and then this past year in his freshman year ended up transitioning to play defensive tackle. So Al Davis again said in the spring that they think very highly of him. So interested to see if he can work his way into that second half of the rotation. And then finally, Braylon Henderson, the only newcomer in this group, a transfer coming over from Ohio rather. Plenty of experience on this guy, a powerful pass rusher for sure. I think he's a pretty technical and smart run defender, even if he doesn't have the run stuffing size of Chris McClellan or Marquise Graciel. And so I'm interested to see if bringing in Braylon was more so of insurance, if Marquise and Jalen don't make the steps in development that Missouri coaching staff was hoping he would. Or, I mean, just kind of insurance and depth in general to have in this room after seeing what they had on the screen and wanting to add one more body to it. I mean, last year they had this count as far as guys that could contribute, and so Braylon Henderson pretty much adds another body in there. But they also do have Jason Dow, a true freshman, coming in, a three-star prospect from the St. Louis area. And then Justin Bodford as well, a redshirt freshman who didn't see much playing time last year, but again, a three-star prospect who could see some opportunities this year. So interested to see how this group does. Overall, I think there's great confidence to have in Chris McClellan. And then behind him, too, I think with Sterling Webb or Marquise Graciel, you feel good about either of those guys stepping into the starting lineup after having last year to develop even further. And then after that, I mean, just the question of how those guys develop what Braylon Henderson's role is in order for them to be able to rotate as much as they did last year. But let me know your thoughts on this group down in the comments below, and appreciate you tuning into this.